Hey kids, today we're talking about climate change and the environment. I've got a quiz for you later on a video, as well as some slides to help you with pronunciation and vocabulary. So let's get started. The environment. Recycling. Recycling. You can recycle paper, glass, plastics, and metals. Waste prevention. Waste prevention. Waste. Your garbage is your waste. Conservation. It is important to conserve nature. Garbage. Many of you have seen garbage on the streets. Hazardous waste. Hazardous waste. Hazardous waste are things like chemicals below your sink. Food waste. Many of you have food waste after your meals, such as banana peels or leftover vegetables. Yard debris. Yard debris. Yard debris is left over after fall and the leaves fall down. Biodegradable. Biodegradable. Many things are biodegradable, such as vegetables and certain materials. Environmental restoration. Environmental restoration. Environmental restoration is important to replant and save the trees. Preservation. Preservation. Protection. Protection. To preserve and protect nature are noble goals. Natural resources. Natural resources. Many natural resources, such as wood, water, and wind, can be used to reduce waste. Sustainable. Sustainable. These are sustainable resources. Renewable. Renewable. Wind is a renewable resource, as is solar power. The greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect. Habitat. Habitat. Your habitat is where you live. Pollution. Pollution. Factories produce pollution. Climate change. Climate change. Climate change affects certain habitats. Glacier melting. As you can see, this glacier is melting, which is a direct result of climate change.
In this video, we will learn how to talk about the environment. We currently face many environmental challenges. To learn how to talk about these challenges, we will discuss threats to the environment, their causes, and possible solutions. Probably the biggest threat to the environment is global warming. Let's look at the causes and what we can do about it. Burning fossil fuels, such as coal, oil, and gas, releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. These gases then get trapped in the atmosphere. This layer of gases trap in heat radiating up from the Earth. This causes the planet to get hotter. We call this the greenhouse effect because it is similar to how a greenhouse works by trapping the heat from the sun. So the Earth is getting hotter. What can we do to solve this problem? We can reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that we put into the atmosphere. There are many things we can do to help. Here are a couple. We should use energy-saving light bulbs. And we can drive more efficient cars. So burning fossil fuels leads to global warming. But what are the negative effects of higher temperatures, and what should we do to help the environment? The ice caps are melting. As a result, sea levels are rising. We should use renewable energy. Deserts are growing. We should plant more trees. This chart shows the cause and effect of global warming. Burning fossil fuels releases gases into the atmosphere. These gases then get trapped in the atmosphere. This layer then traps heat. As a result, the Earth gets hotter. This causes the ice caps to melt. So sea levels begin to rise. What other environmental problems are there? Oceans are polluted. We should save water in the home. Air pollution causes health problems. We should use public transport. Wildlife is losing its habitat. We should protect the rainforests. Landfills emit greenhouse gases. We should reduce, reuse, and recycle. The 3 R's. These are probably the greatest things we can do to help protect the environment. Reduce. It would be better for the environment if we reduced the amount of things we buy and use. It would also save us money. Reuse. We should reuse things when we can. Don't use disposable shopping bags. Instead, take a reusable bag. Recycle. Help the environment by recycling your waste. We can recycle paper, plastic, metal, and glass.
Great job. Next, we have a video to help test your knowledge of climate change and the environment.
From damming rivers to changing the chemistry of the atmosphere, humans have had a powerful impact on our planet. But what would happen if we suddenly disappeared? The first few weeks would be chaotic. Within hours, power plants would run out of fuel and shut down. As lights go out and electric fences lose their sting, over 1.5 billion cows, nearly 8 billion pigs, and more than 20 billion chickens will break out of their enclosures, desperate for food. Without any humans to feed them, most of these livestock will starve or become food for over 500 million dogs and a roughly equal number of cats who now have to fend for themselves. Of course, many of our fancy breeds are ill-suited for life in the wild and will probably be outcompeted by hardier mutts, not to mention wolves, coyotes, and wildcats. Other animals that depend on humans, from rats to cockroaches, will suffer drastic population declines. Some, like body lice and head lice, will go extinct. In the cities, many of our famous boulevards are now rivers. Without electric pumps to keep them dry, underground subway tunnels will quickly fill with water. Other streets will be overtaken with weeds and vines, followed by larger plants and trees. But before that happens, most cities will be wiped out by fire. Modern houses, especially in the suburbs, are still largely made of timber. With no firefighters around, a single lightning strike is all it takes to start a fire that could burn whole subdivisions to the ground. In the countryside, many wood structures will be destroyed. Will be destroyed within a few decades, if not by fire, then by termites and other decomposers. After 100 years, most wood structures will be gone, and anything made of steel, from apartment buildings to cars and even bridges, aren't far behind. Steel is mostly iron, and without constant application of paints and coatings, it will quickly react with oxygen in the atmosphere and return to its native form of iron oxide, or rust. By this time, humans have been gone for a few hundred years, and most species of animals around the world, at least the ones we haven't driven to extinction, will have bounced back to the levels they were at before we evolved. before we evolved, but their distribution will remain forever altered. Camels now roam Australia, while in North America, dozens of species of songbirds imported from Europe will continue to thrive. It's even possible that in some parts of the world, escaped zoo animals could form new wild populations, leading to the prospect of lions on the Great Plains or hippos in South American rivers. Forever proliferating through space will be the electromagnetic radiation we created from our radios, satellites, and phones. But if anything will outlast us on Earth, it may be our trash. The chemical bonds that hold together plastics or vulcanized rubber are immune to most of the digestive enzymes used by bacteria to break down natural polymers, and unlike metals, plastics don't rust or corrode. These microplastics escape into waterways or drift along in the ocean and are eventually deposited in sediments. Hundreds of millions of years from now, alien geologists from outer space may be surprised to find sedimentary rocks full of tiny carbon-based particles that were once part of rubber tires or plastic bags. Of course, whether something survives depends greatly on the conditions. Everything will last much longer in deserts where there's no moisture to speed up rusting or support decomposing organisms. And while the carbon cycle will return CO2 levels to equilibrium after a few thousand years, local deposits of long-lived organic chemicals or radioactive material could persist for a very, very long time. It's hard to know what alien paleontologists of the future will make of us, how they'll explain our love of plastic, or the fact that within a geological eye blink we exploded out of Africa to colonize virtually every inhabitable space on Earth. But they'll definitely wonder why, if we were so successful for so long, we disappeared so quickly.
Thank you for your attention. I hope you learned something. Next, I'm going to put the homework up on the screen. It's just 5 questions about the climate change and environment that we learned about on this lesson. So, I would like you to define the word recycle, define the word reuse, define the word reduce. How do you practice the 3 R's at home? And what are some of the effects of climate change? Once again, if you have any questions or concerns, please email me. And this video was made for teaching purposes in correspondence with Matt Choslovsko. Have a great evening.